What's up YouTube, it's the Duel Factory once again with another video. This time it'll be my regional port from St. Louis that I played in last Saturday, October 8th. Today is Wednesday, so this is 4 days after. At the event, I played Extra Deck Monarchs. After playing in India, I wanted to play something different. And I thought this deck was still very good and has some very explosive plays, even though it has one Ehther, one Stormforth, and one Pantheism. And my buddy Bobby was helping with the build. So I figured I'd give this a go. It was 9 rounds. I played 7. I was X1 until round 7. And then I got beat and I decided to drop because I already had my invite and there was no point to continue playing because I could not top 8 with 2 losses. That being said, going into my rounds, round 1, I played Watts, of all things, round 1. The guy was really cool, but I won that in 2. Round 2, I played against Blue Eyes. That matchup is surprisingly very easy for this deck, even though it's lost a lot of resources. But they can't deal with they can't deal with Erebus, and they definitely can't deal with Stormforth. Round 3, I played against a empowered Dracoslayer deck is what I like to call because those are 3 engines I saw in the deck. That was the match that I bricked really hard. Both games 1 and 2, so I lost my round 3. Round 4, I played against... What did I play against round 4? Oh, I played against BAPK, and he went Dante Vanity's Fiend turn 1, but I had Stormforth Erebus games 1 and 2, so he couldn't play out of that. Round 5, I played against a Cosmo player, and game 1 was very, very long, but I managed to out-resource him in the end. Game 2, we were in time, but I managed to game him on turn 3, I believe it was. And then round 6, I played against a brilliant Satellite deck. Game 1, I lost that, and then games 2 and 3, I blew him out with my side decked Mobiuses. And then round 7 was the final round I played. I played against a water player, and both games I bricked, so I could not play. But those were the 7 rounds that I played. There are a couple changes I would make to the deck. Other than that, I thought it flowed very well. I liked my count and cards that I played when it's in terms of my Monarchs, my spells, Monarch spells and traps, all that fun stuff. But enough talking, let's get into the deck profile. So for monsters, we play the 1 of Ehther because she's at 1. This Monarch is very, very good, and I can see why she's at 1. There's a lot of games that if I did open her, I couldn't lose. And being able to produce big monsters and interrupting your opponent's turn is really good. On to the next Monarch, I did play 3 Erebus. This guy put in a lot of work. Being able to spin stuff back for free is really good, and being able to generate Monarchs from your graveyard every turn is really good too. So he was definitely a 3 of in the deck. That being said, there were a couple games I opened multiple copies of him and it wasn't very good, but you still want to see this card, so you got to play the maximum amount. And then I played 3 Kuraz. A lot of people only play 2, but I personally like 3, just because, especially with Gofu in the deck, I see him as an engine starter. So I feel like it's a necessary 3 of, plus it works with all your Monarch spells and traps. And then I played 2 Vanity's Fiends to round out the Tribute Summon monsters at 9. This card seemed really good to me in theory, but to be perfectly honest, out of all the cards I saw, like when I was doing in test hands, he was really good. But in actual tournament play, going back, I'd almost rather this just be another Monarch, because you can't use it with Tenacity, which really sucks. Its effect's really powerful. But there'd be some times that I would clump them in hand, and then like the game was just really slow, and then you would have to grind it out if you had a chance at all. But I don't know what I would replace it with, because a lot of the 1-sack Monarchs, like Caius and Thestalos and Zaborg and stuff like that, just don't like. So I would have to think about what I replace it with, and I don't like Majesty's Fiend because it loses to a Kaiju. But for now, I have this as the other Tribute Summoner deck, and in the games that I summoned it was really, really good. Just it clumped a lot, and I have the issue of it not working with Monarch spells and traps, but oh well. Then on to the rest of the cards of the deck. I thought it was really important to play 3 Edea, and also to play 3 Eidos, because you go through the Vassals really fast, and I'm also playing Pod Desires in the deck, so are the chances that you will banish multiple copies. And if you're only playing 2 and 2, if you banish 2 of them, they're no good. So I felt the necessity of having 3 of each in the deck was very important. That being said, being able to Tribute Summon twice in a turn is really important, so that's why I played 3 Eidos. And Edea works really, really well with Brilliant Fusion. Like, this is the only card you want to be sending off Brilliant Fusion. So I figured I'd max out on the copies of that, because being able to recycle your Monarch spells and traps is really, really important now, since we're playing a lot smaller count, since we only have 1 Stormforth and 1 Pantheism. Best card in the deck, by far, is Gofu. Actually, I take it back, this is the second best card in the deck. But it's really good. It's a great engine starter. It's a level 5 tuner. You summon it for free. It generates 2 tokens that Kuraz can pop for free advantage. Like, this card's just overall good. Any hand I open this, I won the game. There was not a single game that I did not open this card and lost the game. So I definitely think it's a definite 3 of in this deck. It raises the ceiling so much higher. And then I did play 2 Garnet. I am playing Brilliant Fusion in the deck, and Brilliant Fusion is really powerful with Gofu, so I wanted to play it. Plus, it's also another engine starter to go into your deck. Being able to send the Edea to get banished Monarch spells and trap cards in your hand off of a spell card that lets you tribute summon twice in a turn is really, really powerful. Plus, Seraphinite is also a level 5. So being able to generate a free 5 to go with your Prime to make a rank 5 every turn is really important. And I'm also playing Pot of Desires, like I said, so I figured I'd play one set of 2 because there's a chance that you can banish it, but you don't want to draw this card either. So I believe it's a necessary evil to play in the deck. And that's it for the monster count. On to the spells. I do play 3 Tenacity. This card's still at 3, so being able to search like your Pantheisms, your Stormforth, and whatnot is very easy in this deck. It works with every single tribute summon other than Vanity's Fiend. That's the only reason I don't like Vanity's Fiend, because it doesn't work with this card. So that makes me really want to switch it out. But being able to search the cards at will is really important. And being able to reveal 3 of this off of Pantheism still is a very powerful effect. So I wanted to max out on this. To Return of the Monarchs. This card's important. I kind of wish I played 3 so I could reveal 3 off Pantheism to show to my opponent, because the turns that like I opened Brilliant Fusion and stuff like that, the follow-up play, I wanted to be able to search another Monarch, and sometimes I wasn't guaranteed return. So, looking back at it, I'd probably bump this card up to 3. I just don't know what I would take out and replace for it. We'll see. I don't know if I'm going to continue playing this deck, but I don't know. So, 2 of that. 1 Pantheism, because it's that one, this card's broken. Anytime, like, the access you have to this card is so free. You have it through Monarchs, you have it through Tenacity. So I can see why it's at 1, and as long as it's at 1, this deck's still going to be playable, in my opinion. The 1 Stormforth, I rarely resolve this, but it's still a huge threat that your opponent has to take into account. And then 1 Domain, the best one of utility card in the deck, by far. And I did not want to play just pure Domain Monarch because Ghost Ogre was running rampant all over the regional, and this card flat out loses to Ghost Ogre. So, on to the other spells. A lot of people turned their heads when they saw this. When I was playing 3 Pot of Desires, I did not play Allure of Darkness. The reasoning behind that is because Allure of Darkness, sure, it lets me draw 2 cards, but the cards I'm going to be banishing are either going to be my Erebuses and my Eidoses, or my other Tribute Summon monster, which is Vanity's Fiend, which I didn't think was very good. Or you're going to banish Gofu, which if you have multiple Gofus, it's good, but if you banish the Gofu, it's not. Like, yeah, it digs you 2 cards deeper, but you're 1-for-1ing at that point. And banishing the Tribute Summon out of your hand is just not a good play. And even though this banished the top 10 cards out of your deck, you don't lose anything out of your hand. The way I see it, those cards that you banished are resources you didn't have to begin with. So I felt like this was the infinitely better draw card. And this card, honestly, it got me there a lot of the games I played. There was one game I banished everything but my Kurazes, and I somehow managed to win that game. Don't ask me how. But having the additional cards in hand is just that powerful. If that's it, like, that screams volumes for this card. I'm just saying. And then, arguably one of the best cards in the deck, Brilliant Fusion. Is this your engine starter? Being able to send the Edea to get spells and traps back. Being able to generate a level 5 monster for free. And putting, like, infinite advantage on the board and in your hand. This card, it raises the ceiling of the deck so high. So there's no reason not to play it. And, like, you always want to see this card in hand. There was one game, however, I did open it. And then I drew both the Garnets, and that was really, really, really bad. But other than that, like, I can't say anything bad about this card just because of how much, like, bigger my plays are and how much more explosive my deck is because of it. And then the one-ofs, I played Upstart and Foolish Burial. I thought this raised the consistency of the deck a lot because shortening the number of cards in your deck I feel like is good, and playing a 39 card deck I think is just vastly superior. And then Foolish Burial has a lot of utility in this deck. It can send an Edea to add Banish Monarch spells or trap from your Monarch pile to your hand. It can send Eidos so you can get 2 Tribute Summons a turn if you already have an Edea that's sent off a Brilliant Fusion. It can send Erebus, which in retrospect, if you have a Monarch spell and trap in hand, becomes a Rhoda for an Erebus. So I felt like it had the most utility out of any one of I could play in the deck. And that's the spells. Onto the traps. I did play 3 Prime Monarch. Playing this card is extremely vital to the deck, especially since you're playing the extra deck version, because it helps you generate rank 5s every turn. But not only that, since we're playing a short and Monarch spell and trap lineup because of the ban list, being able to recycle the cards back into your deck to be able to resolve your big monarchs multiple times in a game is very, very important. So we went out and maxed out on that. Plus, with Desires, you do banish multiple copies of it. So as long as you have one to be able to cycle out, you should be fine. But ideally, you want one in grave and one on field. So I felt like this was a necessary 3 of. And then I also played the one Escalation because I thought it was a good power 1 of. And it's very good with Vanity's Fiend because you can interrupt your opponents. Plus, it works really well with the Mobius, the Frost Monarch that's in my side deck against Demise decks and stuff like that. Because at the end of their main phase, too, when they try to exit it, you can Mobius their spells and traps away. And I thought that was really good. So that was my main deck. It is 40 cards. On to my... We'll show you my extra deck first. The 2 tokens I used. And then for the monsters, I played 2 Seraphinite. I didn't always summon 2, but I wanted the option since I am playing the 2 Garnet, because resolving 2 Brilliant Fusion in a game is almost an automatic guarantee auto win. So I at least wanted the option, but I usually only summoned 1 a game, but it was a really good card. And then for the Synchros, I played the Ultimaya Tzolkin because you can make it, and Crystal Wing's a powerful card. This card is really good. Moving bodies out of the way for 1,000 life points is really good. I played 1 Ignister because you can summon off Tzolkin. And it's really good against the Pendulum matchup, but I never got to Tzolkin in the 1 Pendulum matchup I did play. The 1 Crystal Wing, I summoned this a lot when I opened Brilliant Gofu. Cards, it's so powerful, you have to play it. And then for the rank 5s, Shark Fortress. Never summoned it, but it was there for OTKs. Constellar Pleiades, I summoned it once to clear a monster out of the board. 1 Durendal, this is a great turn 1 card, plus it shuffles Garnets in your hand back into your hand. So, I mean, it's a shoe-in. Rank 5. Bulbasaur's, I only summoned this when I was going for game. Zen Mile to back out set cards. It's really good against carded Demise decks. 1 Adrius for random floodgates too, such as Anti-Spell and Massacre Strike. I actually did have Massacre Strike flipped on me, but I summoned this card. My opponent couldn't do anything. I do play 2 rank 6s. Beatrice was summoned the most, simply because I can send combo pieces from my deck to the graveyard that I need in the grave, such as like an Eidos to match the Edea if I had Brilliant Fusion, if I needed a Pantheism in graveyard, if I needed Erebus in graveyard to add it to my hand. Like, this card had huge utility in my deck, and it was the most summoned rank 6 out of the 2. And then Ptolemy M7 for the random play. When you already have your grave set up and you open the Ehther, you can add the Ehther back with this. So it earned its spot there. And then I played 1 Gaia Dragon to go over the Volcasaurus. So that's it for that. And then onto my side deck. I thought my side deck was really good, but a lot of the cards I didn't see in the tournament, so let's get into it. So I played 3 Mobius. I wanted this as the other Monarch I could side in decks that Vanity's Emptiness wasn't good, such as carded Demise decks, or decks that had slower strategies. Like Vanity's Emptiness, I don't think is very good against Metal Foe. Not Vanity's Emptiness, Vanity's Fiend. I don't think it's very good against Metal Foe, because they can always, like, summon Eccentric, pop it, and whatnot. So I'd rather have something that could, like, pop their scales and keep them from Pendulum summoning. So, that being said, that's why I chose Mobius, because it also deals with carded Demise really well, and it also, like, this isn't a huge point, but it doesn't lose to Chaos Trap Hole. So I thought it was the best tribute summon I could side in and out, depending on the matchups. And it was really against the Citadel Knight player. 2 Maxis. My deck is more of a combo-based strategy that wants to go first and set up like huge boards and gain huge advantage, so I didn't think this deserved a spot in the main deck. But I still think it's powerful enough of a card that it needs to be played, so I put it on my side. Like I was saying, at the regional, this card was running Rampant, and it was really good against a lot of decks. I sided this in almost all the time. Just being able to blow up an Azurize or stop a Pendulum Scale from resolving, like, this card's, it's really good. I really like it, this format. I did not play Twin Twister, I played Cosmic Cyclone, because not a lot of decks are playing a huge amount of back row, and I'm already playing the Mobius. But the back rows that my opponents like do play, such as like Fogblade, has multiple uses in the graveyard, so I'd rather have it banished altogether than just destroying it so they can use it later. 2 Book of Eclipse if I was forced to go second, because I didn't want to be able to have to play into an unbreakable board, and this breaks it. And then the card of the format, I think, for the side decks is Typhoon, along with Ghost Ogre, because it has multiple uses. Like, you can play this out of your hand to break Vanity's Emptiness, which isn't a huge problem for me, but sometimes it gets in the way, so having this is really good. Especially against Pendulum decks, it's really good too, because you can pop their scales when they set up, and you can also, with Cosmic Cyclone, this, and Mobius, I felt like I had plenty of back row removal, or Pendulum Scale removal, I should say. But this card was really good. Anytime I sided this in, I saw it, and it's just really good in the situation that I drew it. And that was my regional report for October 8th, playing EDM. I also noticed that we just hit 700 subscribers. I would like to thank you guys a lot for that. Especially, it means a lot to me, especially since my channel's like blown up in the last couple weeks. I hope it continues to grow, and I'll continue to bring you guys more decks. It was like I was telling you, I'm gonna bring you a bunch of Gofu decks. This is the first one. The next one I want to show you guys is Gofu dolls, that it's dolls with Gofu, and you can do Tzolkin and stuff like that. Just more for fun decks and building for you guys. And hopefully you see me guys at more competitive events. I do plan on attending a lot more events, so that way I can bring you guys more footage and stuff like that, and I'm going to continue bringing dual videos. Always remember to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys.